Should I travel to the US or should I travel to the UK? Making this decision can be very tedious. People have different opinions when it comes to traveling to the US and traveling to the UK. Let's look at the factors that would inform our decision whether we should travel to work in the US or whether we should travel to work in the UK. My name is Mordecai. This is the Nature and Lifestyle channel. If you are new here, kindly subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, kindly subscribe. Before we look at the factors, we have to consider the system of government in these two countries. The US is a federal government. The US runs the federal constitution. So we have several states in the US. There are some laws that apply to every US citizen, no matter which state that you live. But there are also some laws that apply to specific states. We have to be mindful of this. The UK operates a unitary system of government. That is, we have no federal system in the UK. This means that most of the laws apply to everyone, no matter which part of the UK that you are. We have to be mindful of this. Now, let's look at the factors that will inform our decision. First, the visa application process. You will realize that when applying for a UK visa, it is simple, it's clear. The documents they ask you to provide are not very many. And also, when you submit your document for your visa, sometimes they don't even do any interview. They will collect your document, scan them, and within some few weeks, you will get your response, whether you have been issued a visa or denied the visa. This is not the same with applying for a US visa. Even when you provide all the documents you are required to, you are not guaranteed that you'll be issued a visa. You have to go through interviews, and sometimes you have all your documents, but you can fail the interview. There are other times that if your employer who is ready to employ you in the US makes a slight mistake, you will be denied the visa. So the visa application process here, I think the UK visa application process is simple compared to the US one. The next factor is dependents being able to work when you bring them over to you. In the UK, when you have your working visa, you can bring in your dependent, and when you bring in your dependent, immediately they can start working. This is not the same with the US. When you have your US working visa, you bring in your dependent, they can't immediately start working. No, they can't immediately start working. You would have to wait when you get your green card before your dependent can start working. And this can be problematic because when we bring people with us to abroad, we want the people also be able to work in order to earn a living. But when they are not able to work and they are always at home, it's not good. So just be mindful of this factor. The next one is healthcare. Healthcare. Whilst in the UK, healthcare is free, I would say about 90% free because we all pay national insurance, and they use this national insurance money and other taxes to fund the healthcare system. When you go to the hospital, you are not collected a penny or a dime. You don't pay any money to anybody. From when the ambulance will take you from your home to the hospital to when you are discharged to all your appointments, you don't pay any money. This is not the same in the US. You have to get your own private insurance in the United States of America. I do understand that there are some employers that have this health insurance to cover all their employees and even the employees' dependents as well. So here, if your employer doesn't have that insurance cover for you, it means that you personally have to get your own private insurance, which could be quite expensive. So just keep an eye on this. Another factor I will speak about is annual leave, maternity leave, sick leave. So let me use the nursing profession in both countries for an example. In the UK, when you are a nurse, okay, when you are employed as a nurse, you are automatically entitled to 4 to 5 weeks annual leave. And I mean paid annual leave every year, okay, 4 to 5 weeks. And you can select whichever time you want, except that some hospitals will not allow you to select Christmas time period or December for your annual leave. But apart from that, you can select any month that you want. This is not the same about working in the US. In the US, usually your employers, based on the number of shifts or the number of hours that you've accumulated, will determine your annual leave. And sometimes some people are only entitled to 2 weeks annual leave in a year, and they have to negotiate with their agencies or with their employers for more annual leave. So this is also a factor. Then maternity leave. In the UK, you are entitled to up to 9 months maternity leave, and you can even extend it to 12 months. Just that, bear in mind how you will be paid. That is the amount of money you receive at the end of the month gradually reduces as your maternity leave extends. But yes, still you will get some money at the end of the month. This is not the same in the US. The maternity leave is not as lengthy or is not as long as in the UK. There is also paternity leave in the UK as well. You can apply for paternity leave. I'm not sure about paternity leave in the US. You can do a little research about it. Now, salaries. Usually in the UK, the salaries being paid to workers are lower than the United States of America. On the average, a band 5 nurse in the UK may be receiving between 24,500 to 31,200 pounds in a year. The same nurse in the US with the same rank as a UK band 5 nurse may be receiving between 45,000 to 80,000 US dollars by the end of the year. And I know there are some states in the US which is even higher than that, and other states that may be lesser than that. You would also have to consider violence, crime, and racism. Violence, crime, and racism. With racism, I wouldn't say the UK is more racist than the US, or the US is more racist than the UK. You encounter racism wherever you go. In Africa, you encounter racism. In Europe, in North and South America, in the Asian countries, in Australia, and even in the Middle East, we encounter racism. So I wouldn't go much deeper into that. But when it comes to violence and crime rates, the crime rates and violence actions in the US is more than the UK. That is per statistics. There is more probability that you encounter a violent behavior or a criminal behavior in the US than the UK. And we've been hearing this news on CNN, on BBC, and most Western media about gunshot, about gun violence in the US. Yes, in the UK it does happen, but not as often as in the US. This is also another one. Let's look at your working license, the license you'll be working with whenever you get there. I'm going to use the nursing profession as an example here again. So you have acquired your license, you've got your visa to travel to either of these two countries. You realize that when you get to the UK as a nurse, the NMC license that you have, you can use it to work in any health institution. Only if the work you are going to do is the kind of license you acquired. That is, you are not restricted in working in certain parts of the UK. No, you can work in Scotland, in Northern Ireland, in England, and also in Wales. This is not the same with the US. There are some states in the US that when you get their nursing license, you can only use it to practice nursing only in that state. You can't practice anywhere again in the US. But there are other states in the US also that when you get their nursing license, you can use it to practice in all the states in the US. You would also want to consider the cost of higher education. You realize that in the US, the cost of higher education is expensive. It's expensive to do your master's, your PhD in the US as compared to the UK universities. In the UK, the cost of education is not that higher as compared to the US. Another very important factor is settlement categories. Okay, the settlement categories in both countries. You'd realize that in the UK, when you come in with your working visa or your tier 2 general visa, after 5 years, you can apply for your indefinite leave to remain, okay? Indefinite leave to remain, which gives you more opportunities in the UK. And I know even with that, mostly you have access to public funds. That is after 5 years. And you can do this on your own with just a little help from the company you are working with or the institution you are working with. This is not the same with the US. In the US, if you come in with your H-1B visa and you want to apply for your green card, your organization that you are working with has to file some documents for you before you can get this green card. That is, you can't do this on your own. No, you can't do this on your own. This is a bit problematic because if in the course of the year or when you are working, you had a problem with your organization, and let's say your organization refuses to file this document for you, then your settlement in the US, that is your long-term settlement in the US, becomes quite problematic. We would also want to look at travel and holidays. Travel and holidays. Now, because UK is in Europe, you have easy access to a lot of European destinations. That is France, Germany, Italy, Portugal, Spain, a lot of European countries. It's easy. You just have to apply for your Schengen visa and you can travel to these places. It is not that expensive to travel from UK to this holiday destination. But you realize that when traveling from the US, because of the geographical location of the US, it makes it more expensive to travel from the US to other holiday destinations around the world. But somebody will say this is a non-starter because if you are paid good money, then you can afford your holiday. So just make your own decision, guys. Guys, I know this point I'm going to raise is more subjective because we all have different ways of defining how beautiful a place is. But in my own opinion, I think looking at what I've watched, what I've read, and what other people that I did research with have told me, the US is more beautiful, more nicer than the UK. I know in the UK when you travel to cities like Birmingham, Manchester, London, it looks nicer. But the US, look, the place is beautiful, the place is nicer. So if you want to, vibe more in big cities, if you want to enjoy the big city life, then I would advise you to select the US over the UK. But just be mindful, living in big city has its own extra cost. The cost of rent, the cost of living in big cities are higher. So you have to be mindful about this. Now, the cost of living. I wouldn't go much into the cost of living because it depends on where in those two countries that you will be living. That is, there are areas in the UK that is more expensive to live, especially areas in London. Okay, when you live in London, it's more expensive. And also in southwest of England, in the southwest region of England, it's more expensive to live in these areas. But when you live in areas like Northern Ireland, in the northern part of England, and in some parts of Scotland and Wales, the cost of living is lesser. This is the same with the US. There are some cities in the US which is very expensive. Example, in New York, it's very expensive to live there. But then New Yorkers are also paid good money in order to counter their high cost of living. So I wouldn't make a choice when it comes to high cost of living, because it depends on where you live in these two countries. I know by this time some of you will be asking, so Modi, which of these two countries would you like to live? The US or the UK? Currently, I'm living in the UK. I'm working in the UK, and I've been in the UK for the past 4 years. Okay, I've traveled to so many parts of the UK. I think it's only Scotland that I've not been to, but I've been to the other the other 3 parts of the country. Sorry. I would like to live in the US, not because I think the US is better than the UK, but I like more adventure. Okay, as a nurse in Ghana, I did travel to Cote d'Ivoire to explore there. Then from Cote d'Ivoire, I traveled to the UK to explore here. So I would want to go further to explore the US as well. Okay, to look at the way of life, and what they've been telling us is really true or it's full of lies. Then after spending some years in the US too, I would love to travel to Australia to explore there as well. I wouldn't want to tell you to choose either the US or the UK. It is your own decision. Just look at all the factors we've raised in this video and just make the decision for yourself. This is the Nature and Lifestyle channel. I'm Mordecai. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe, please like, and please share. And let me give this disclaimer. I have not lived in the US before. All the things I said about the US are from what I have read, videos I have watched, and inquiries I have done from people who have lived in the US for a long time. So I have not lived in the US before. I've been living in the UK for the past 4 years. Okay, so this is the place I have my experience in. Thanks for watching. See you another time.